Hi flower friends. Today we are going to pot up a few dahlias to give them a head start. I do this mainly because we can get cold weather up until June. This year has been amazingly mild, but that could swiftly change. It could get hotter or it could get cold again. Last year we had our last snow May 31st. And that's not really that unusual. So I always plan ahead, and I want to get a head start on my dahlias because we have a relatively short growing season, and I have to dig them up in fall, even though I am a zone 8A. A lot of people will tell you that in a zone 8, you can leave them in the ground. That does not hold true here. So I've tried it, just to let you know, and they've rotted in the ground. So I always dig them up and store them. It's not hard to do. I have a video on it. I will link it in the description box below. And actually that time of year you're kind of wanting to clean up the garden anyways, so they are well worth the effort. So I have some 1-gallon pots. I've already marked the name of the dahlia on it. This one's called Alana Claire Obscure. I'm not sure that's how it's pronounced, but that's what it's called. So I just fill this up probably halfway. You do not need to fill it up because we're not going to leave them in the pots that long. I'm going to get them out in the ground as soon as I can. So I make sure I have the stem side up. This is the stem. These are the octopusy arms. And there's already some eyes popping on this, meaning it's starting to sprout in the bag. So anyways, I just carefully put them all in there, make sure the roots are down, and I just fill in the soil around it. I'll have a little tiny bit on top, and then I set it aside. And then I do the same with the second one. I already did one. You didn't need to watch me do all three, but so this is the third one. And this one was kind of tricking me, but there's the stem. It was hiding amongst all the little other things. So it took me a minute to find the stem. Anyways, stem side up. This one, there's a side stem, and that's where a shoot is coming off of it, right there. So I'm going to do the same. It's about halfway down, and I put some soil in around it. And I will place these on the floor of my greenhouse with the others. This floor is almost covered from end to end underneath my shelf with dahlias. I did not realize I ordered so many, and I didn't realize that so many made it through the winter because I was in a hurry last fall getting them stored, and I kind of was lazy about it. So I thought maybe I would have lost a lot more than I did. I did lose a few. One of the ones I wanted to make sure and keep was Labyrinth. It was beautiful last year, just beautiful. And that's the one that rotted. It was packaged or, put away well. So I don't know why it rotted. Maybe it's particularly susceptible to that. I don't know. Also, if you want to take cuttings, this is a good way to start. I'll show you the trays I have over on the counter of ones I have in just shallow trays. You can do it that way too, and that's mainly to take cuttings from them and not really to give them a good start, though they do start well in there. So anyways, I have a whole video on how to take dahlia cuttings and to root them. So if you want to see that, I will link in the description box. Let's talk about watering. This soil it's damp, but not damp enough. So when I put these on the floor, I'm going to water them. I'm going to make sure it's all well moistened. I will not water them again until they're dry enough, meaning we want to keep the soil moist but not wet. So if you need help with that, I can kind of weigh a pot and think, okay, yeah, that needs a little water. No, it doesn't. But there's a moisture meter, and I will link it into the description box. Very, very helpful about recognizing or showing you what the moisture level is in your pot. We want moist, not wet, and that way they won't rot and you won't have any problems with that. So I'm going to put these on the floor, and then I'm going to show you the trays I have of dahlias. And then I'm going to show you all the ones I have on the floor. It's just quite a few. All right, let me turn you around. So here are, let me step over there. Here are the dahlia trays. And right here you can see some sprouts. These would need to be just a little slightly taller that I could take cuttings. But also I wanted to show you down here on the floor. These, the majority of these are dahlias. There's a few other things in there, like this is a hosta. I need to take that out and put that beside the studio, so that would be where that goes. But I'll pan you around and you can see all of them. Forgive my chickens. Let me see, I might need to put you down a little bit further. There we go. And then right along here, you see dahlias, dahlias, dahlias. That's a petunia right over there, but all the way to this wall over here by the flamingo. The majority, my sea hollies are down there, but majority, like I said, is dahlias. So now I'm going to update you on a few things. The dahlias potting up is done. Make sure you mark your pots. And we talked about watering. I'm trying to go down my checklist in my mind. But I wanted to show you the begonias that I started from tubers. And aren't these gorgeous? Look at how big they've already gotten. They're ready to be potted up, I'm sure. I don't have any roots coming through, so I think we're okay. Oh, this one has some roots coming through. But I will find some more pots. I think I have more in my basement. The 1 gallons to pot these up into. Or I can go ahead and put them up into these taller 4-inch pots. So that will work too. So that's the update on the begonias we started. And I'll go get the sweet peas. I think they're up on my deck by my new greenhouse that my husband's building me, because obviously I'm out of space in here. So I've been shopping around for a new greenhouse, and hopefully I can get an even bigger one. Probably will sit here unless we move the chicken house, which is a possibility. But, oh, this is another update. These are the geraniums. Some of the geraniums I started from seed and did the video on. Aren't those pretty? These are actually pelargoniums. They're not true geraniums. But if you want to watch something on hardy geraniums where I divided them, I divided a Roseanne. I have that here on my YouTube channel too. So these beautiful little things are just a little old 6-pack I bought at a big box store and potted up into 4-inch pots. I can't put them out yet because of that freeze type thing, and the lobelia too. These poor little things were just so root bound, and I actually had to cut the bottoms of their little cubes, dirt cube, off because they were just that badly root bound. But you see, it hasn't hurt them, but it helps them to make new roots and go down into the new soil. Whereas if I would have left them with their roots all wrapped around, they just would have stayed there. It wouldn't have reached out, and done very well. So let me go get the sweet peas and I'll show you how they're doing. So I hefted them in here for you. So here are those sweet peas that I potted up into these taller pots so their roots can still grow down. I've had them outside on my back deck because we've had some mild temperatures. We have gotten down into the 30s and they've done fine. Not down to freezing, and we didn't have a hard frost, but I wanted them to be strong and sturdy and not tall and gangly. Under lights, they can get tall and gangly really easy. They are ready to be pinched, and just basically you pinch them down to the next leaf node. I could pinch them down to there. And I have a whole video on that too where I show you doing it. So I will put these back on my deck. I know the glare is coming in here, so hopefully you can see well. But I wanted to share the update on the eryngiums or sea holly as well. I got so many comments from people in emails saying, thank you so much, because they didn't realize how to plant them, and some even had to go replant theirs that they had started because they had planted them wrong. So I'm really glad I did that too. These I did on February 15th because I marked it. Sometimes that's very helpful. But you can see, let me zoom up here. Let me see the little plants growing just fine. Now this is April 9th, so almost 2 months. So don't give up when things seem to be taking a little while to get going. So I have high hopes for these. I've wanted them for a long time. I also have some seeds started of sea holly, and I hope, and they're a different color. So those ought to be really pretty. There is a white one out there that I want to try too. They just have such an interesting shape, and they're very tough plants once you get them going. So that's one of the updates as well. I did want to say something about poppies. Yeah, I just had read a blog post on a gal who grew, I think it was the Icelandic poppies for the first time. And she says she read, and she grew them indoors, she started the seeds indoors, that they don't like to be transplanted. That is true. But just because they don't like it doesn't mean they won't do it or survive it. And I'm going to give you an example. This is an Oriental Poppy. It too, like the poppies in general, don't like being transplanted. How I grew this one from seed was I bought a cheap packet of seeds, like from a dollar store, Dollar General, I think it was. And it was 2 for $1, 2 packages of the Oriental Poppy seeds, a mix of colors. I put them, I did winter seed sowing with the milk jugs, like I have a video here on, and I put it out in the garden and let it sit. And then every single one must have germinated because that thing was full of poppies. And I transplanted them into bigger pots, and they grew on. I planted some out in the garden later, and they grew on. I did lose some more because I couldn't keep up with as many as I had. So when I potted them up, I didn't keep up with watering well. But it wasn't because of transplanting. They will do fine. You can buy them in pots, and you just put them out in the garden and go for it. Don't not try or not grow them because they supposedly don't like a certain thing. You never know till you try what you can get away with. So that being said, I think that is all we have for today. So I will bid you adieu, and I will be back with something else I'm doing. This is a very busy time of year. I'm trying to cram as many videos and producing content for the blog. So forgive me if I seem rushed, but I hope you'll join me in the next video. And I'm going to plant up sweet peas in the ground or in the garden, direct sow out there. We're having nice mild weather. We can do it. You can do it. I have better success with planting them in the ground. So it doesn't hurt to try. You can plant some in pots, be on the safe side, and then plant the others in direct in the soil and just give it a whirl. So this is a shot of one of the Oriental poppies that I told you I had grown from seed and put out in the garden. There's actually 2 of them there together. I didn't have the heart to split them apart, but so far so good. They're doing beautifully.